Alright, it's no surprise I'm not a big fan of TSM, so this makes me smile a little bit. On to the show. It's Vision Denial and our road to MSI. We got ourselves Team Liquid. Oh, wrong direction. Team Liquid versus TSM. My name's Sebastian. Let's discuss a little bit. This was a fun series to watch, I'm not gonna lie. Primarily because, well, I like seeing TSM lose, but also because there's some really interesting stuff that happened in regards to vision and drafting. Now, the decision making itself wasn't all too great. There was a lot of misexecution on either side of the bar here. Not too impressed by everything, but in terms of like identity to figuring out the ways that like each team approaches the game from pick and ban is pretty phenomenal. And the way that they approach vision on both sides is very similar. I think it's a little unfortunate, however, that neither team seems to have quite grasped how to do the vision denial, like in denial of information, all too much. But the edge goes to Team Liquid. Now, let's structure this a little bit. What do I mean by all of this? Well, during each of the games, all 4 games, TSM has a unique approach to go for a different kind of draft every time. Either bot focus, mid focus, sieging, or top end focused a composition every single time, trying to go to a different approach when attacking Team Liquid's ability to play early games or late game situations. And it shows because TSM have, for the first 2 games, really really bolstered their identity within the early gameplay and kept that same mid gameplay that they had the entire time. They went for level 1s. Both teams immediately responding to level 1s in the same way. Their vision is applied properly. It's unfortunate that TSM's execution to all of these compositions are lackluster, either from the laning phase where they're not able to gain enough advantages in the early game to actually like get it going, or if ever there was like some fumbling in the setup for different neutral objectives. And it really disheartens. It's really disheartening that a team who, despite me not liking this team, but a team that has been like taken the time to choose to have a different kind of composition and be very creative with their approach from game to game, wouldn't recognize the proper steps all the way. It felt very rushed. Now, Team Liquid, on the other hand, their approach to drafting itself is less creative, but more analytical. They seem to have very honed in a style of how to counter TSM's draft during every single one of the pick bans. Whether or not they were able to fully utilize the counters were not great, especially in Game 1 and Game 3, where in Game 1 they got very lucky. I'm going to use this word sparingly, the luck factor here, because it was TSM's game to win, right? It was theirs to win and theirs to lose and decide when to do so. And Team Liquid, fortunately, had a TSM that was not great at neutral objective setups. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this. Like, it's not the only takeaway from this, but the biggest takeaway from this is that there is not enough preparation done on the side of TSM, and they're called out frequently. Which is really weird given that this was a team that was supposed to be known for like their late game shot calling. but their prowess here was early game. Team Liquid, on the other hand, Core JJ is going to have his praises all the time, but shows exactly how supports are supposed to roam and actually give influence, even if it doesn't result in a gank or successful gank, that they do more than just go somewhere and then go back to their lane. Like, he regularly ends up harboring like a great ability to try and deny vision and information. It's 50-50 on success rate, right? And there's nothing creative about the way they're denying vision. There's a lot of usefulness that comes from it. It's just not consistent. And that's really going to hamper them if ever Team Liquid wants to make it to the international stage. It's one thing to know how to counter any particular pick man. Great. But if you're not able to execute on that properly, and if you're not able to play around the vision properly, you're going to get called out frequently, especially when both of these teams were doing some really questionable stuff, especially in game 3 and 4, where many of them were getting caught out. They were doing these weird, like, approaches to, like, trying to be the hero in a lot of cases. Huni and Alfari, as skilled as they are, strike me as probably going to be an issue further in. Like, if either of these teams qualify, because neither of these teams are eliminated. These were both in the upper bracket. TSM is just going to have to go from the lower bracket and go further up. And Team Liquid will have to face off whoever the winner of today is. I believe. Yeah, that's right. Whoever the winner of the Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. So I hear good things about Alfari, but really the cornerstones of like success from these teams were their mid laners. Both Jensen and PoE were the most consistent players out of the two. They were the most consistent in terms of laning, in terms of their approach into to like the composition. But you can see in the way that it was being played that Alfari felt that he had to do more than he needed to, and that Huni had to do more than he needed to, and it led to many mistakes, especially in Game 4 for Huni, who had like the worst time. And like part of it is about the way that Team Liquid executed their early game, like pretty well, to the point where Huni was just virtually useless and he should have pivoted and didn't. And it's unfortunate because the lack of like very solid top lane carry or ability for top lane carries to play weak side and then develop that into a strong side is going to hamper them when they get to an international play, if they get to an international play. Now, if I was to give a grade to either of these teams, I wouldn't give anything higher than a B-, primarily because of their execution to everything. Their approach to pick and ban is fine. I don't have like many issues. There's maybe a little bit more variety that I wish Team Liquid would go for in terms of their ban phases, but otherwise they are good at recognizing what they need to do. TSM, I would just hope that they practice their execution of their compositions a little more. The vision itself, I have no huge issues with. They have a clear idea of where to apply their vision, where they need to get it to like apply the pressures they need. I especially like the way that Team Liquid always had vision set up in an area before they went into it to apply where they were going to like approach lane pressures. I especially also like the way that Team Liquid, so far out of the 6 teams that I've seen play, because there are a huge host of teams that are going to be trying to apply to like qualify for MSI, but out of the first 6 teams that I've seen play, Team Liquid is the best at wave manipulation. Now, there's likely to be other teams so far that show better use of wave manipulation, but Team Liquid has shown in 2 separate games. One game with a 1-3-1 composition in Game 4, where it was consistent, where they didn't need Baron to apply the 1-3-1 composition to its best use, and when it did have Baron. And then in Game, I believe it was Game 2, where they had the same thing, but it was in a scenario where they were able to apply wave pressures to maximize their approach to neutral objective control. And I mention this because you could, all teams could have players of equal level. That's never going to happen, but all of the roles are equal level. Both sides of the teams know how to draft exactly right. Vision is on top for all of the teams, and those are, and they all know how to execute their win conditions. The issue, however, is that the fact that the five other teams so far don't do anything to approach their wave manipulation to gain an extra step of advantages to their neutral objective setups, to gain more turret pressures, to be able to like secure or close wins, tells me a lot that uh, the other five teams, if any of the other five teams other than Team Liquid go further in and manage to qualify, they will have the hardest time ever to compete against the big three regions, against Europe, China, and Korea. Because we haven't hit the big three regions. They don't start until Europe at least next week, and in the start of April is when both Korea and China start their run to the playoff. I give TSM a C plus in terms of their grade. TSM, fix up your decision making primarily, either on an individual level or as a team. I don't know if it was a team communication issue or if some of your individual players were having a hard time, but your players do have the skill level to pull it off. PoE especially, Power Evil had like a really strong go at it. Was definitely your standout player. If you can, play around mid lane more often. I appreciated the variety of like pick and ban compositions, but try to do more to enable PoE to either like set him up so that their composition falls off, or give more use those variety of compositions to like have PoE take advantage of his skill sets to move you forward. Um, that's mostly it. I don't think you'll have a huge issue through the lower bracket, although I do believe you're up against. This is the closest league that I've seen. All the other leagues so far from their records show me that like there's clearly a team at the top, and then there's like stragglers, and then the teams at the bottom. North America is the league that's the most competitive amongst them. So like you are likely to get called out easily. Like you could lose this. Fix up your minor like decision making hiccups, um, and be a little bit more reserved about the amount of information you just freely give away when you're doing your games. Team Liquid, however, on the other hand, despite your ability to execute on a lot of these things, there's like a lack of confidence that goes in to a lot of these. Your first three games it looked like it took a while before you guys ramped up in momentum. Game 4, you really like put it to the like pushed it in, so it shows that you can do it. But you, I don't know, there, it's like you have all the right steps on paper, and then you just hesitate. What's that about? Alfari, you don't need to be a hero. Core JJ, like, take advantage of doing more vision denial and playing around the vision more often. You've had a couple of glimpses of it. Uh, like, tactical again. Also, you don't also need to be a hero. Like, none of you need to make the hero play. You just need to like collectively decide to do something and not have like a collective hesitation with one person feeling they need to be the hero. I would give Team Liquid a B minus if it wasn't for like the lack of hesitation, but this is the best performing team that I've seen so far. Now, I'm recording this the day after I watched the playoff series yesterday night, on the 20th when it happened, and then I went to sleep. And these are my thoughts coming into it, rereading my notes, reviewing a little bit of the stuff. Today only has one playoff series of Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. We'll see how that plays off and shakes off for the rest of North America. And then next week, a whole host of regions start going off. We got Europe, we got Latin America, we got Brazil, we got we got Australia, of all the regions going off, and then Korea starts off also 10 days. So next week is super busy before like the month of April starts off, and then we got it's only started and it's going to ramp up even further from here. So enjoy the calm before the storm, because these are definitely not the strongest teams we have yet to encounter. Let me know what you think. Are any of you North American fans who got the chance to watch this? What are your thoughts about the particular series? These are my particular thoughts off of their first best of 5. They're definitely got way more to go. At least 2 more for Team Liquid and 1 more for TSM. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And thank you all for watching. I will see you all next time for my review of the Cloud9 vs 100 Thieves series. Have a good day.